Now, time for a quick update on the situation in Syria. The Saudi Arabian government has announced that it will spend $100 million in order to aid the ousting of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. Now, the Saudi Foreign Minister, Prince Saud al-Faisal, said this on Wednesday, that Saudi Arabia was going to take public money to pay for the ousting of the Syrian government, despite the fact that people seem to think that all of the Middle East is one gigantic conspiracy against the United States. Now, in addition to this, the Saudi foreign minister said that all of the forces fighting against the Syrian government need to become one under a single leadership so that they may all work together towards that goal. If by that he means the various mercenary groups that are paid to slaughter the country. Now, he did speak further on this situation. The unity of opposition will help remove the justification for the continuation of division among the international community towards the Syrian issue. It actually is becoming much worse than even that. U.S. President Barack Obama has said that he will now recognize the National Coalition of Syrian Revolutionary and Opposition Forces as legitimate representations of the Syrian people, even though he himself is very aware that this is all being perpetrated by NATO. NATO is paying, they're funding, they're assisting these terrorist attacks by mercenaries against the people of Syria. I mean, it's ridiculous. That's like saying your absolute worst enemy recognizes you as wrong. Well, of course they do. They're the ones who are against you. Of course they recognize you're wrong. To say that the FSA, the Free Syrian Army, actually represents the Syrian people is nothing short of just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it makes no sense whatsoever. They're literally foreign troops that are coming into the country, committing massacres, persecuting religious minorities, burning down Christian churches. There was a previous incident of them murdering government employees, and the employees that they murdered were postal workers. They took postal workers and threw them off the roof of a building, and then released the tape of it. There's tape of them, the rebels, the NATO-backed terrorists, testing chemical weapons on rabbits. Even though it's constantly claimed that, Bashar al-Assad is going to use chemical weapons any day. And that'll be the tipping point when NATO will become involved. Even though NATO already is involved, NATO already is interfering. But by that, of course, they mean a direct military intervention from the actual Western powers for the situation in Syria. This does prove at least one thing that should be evident for many people by now. The Saudi royal family are reactionary. I mean, it should be obvious. It's a royal family. Royal families are reactionary, and that they don't actually serve the interests of the Saudi Arabian people. And they sure as hell don't represent the interests of the Arab people as a whole towards liberation from imperialism. I mean, obviously not. They're some of the biggest puppets of the United States government. And all of this is still being done under the cover that somehow the rebels in Syria are actual rebels and not the actual blatant puppets that they are. I mean, it's so obvious, though the media is deliberately ignoring this fact. NATO is interfering in Syria right now. There should be calls from the UN, if they did the job it is that they claim that they're there to do, would be calling on NATO to stop interfering in the country. But they're absolutely not. The UN is inherently in the hands of the United States. It's not only legally on land by the United States, but it's also to a large extent funded by the United States. But that's what constitutes democracy under a world capitalist order.